programming for no good reason on a Monday night. It is 8:13 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Daylight Time, whichever you prefer, on January 29th, 2024. Thank you again for joining me as I write code for, again, no good reason other than just to kind of practice and learn things. I kind of allocate myself about 6 hours or more a week to try to write and practice code, try different things out. I think it's a good way to grow as a developer, and it allows you to kind of try out different libraries and different approaches that you normally wouldn't try out, let's say, in your day-to-day job. So for instance, in this particular instance, we're using P5 Play to build and design a game. Now, it doesn't make me at all the master of P5, but it does allow me to kind of practice and do things that I normally wouldn't have to do in terms of programming. But at the same point, it also allows you as a developer to grow, try new things, and also try to think through things that you, again, also normally wouldn't at work. So you might be on a particular deadline at work, or let's say you're used to doing, heavy back-end work. This might be a bit of a change from that. So to start us off, we have the game that I'm working on, which is a reverse bullet hell. And I had a bunch of different options that I wanted to try to tackle. Here's my list. So I looked at a couple different. I tried some reverse bullet hells to try to play around, and I had some different ideas in mind. So one, I'd like to implement the spawns appearing on screen. Right now, I just have it so that the spawns, there's a level, so they only spawn so many per level, and I want to change that up so that they keep spawning. And we should probably have, I liked Vampire Hunter's timer, so I'm probably going to do time-based, but I'm probably going to keep it shorter, and I'm probably going to implement more of a maze feature. So you can either survive for the time period, or you can complete the maze. And I like that approach. But I do want to keep the timer on screen. So let's do create on screen timer. Now I've already created a display system that I implemented over here. So I have this pixel art folder, and I basically created all of the individual pixels. So like level 1, so forth and so on. So I could do some type of countdown and put it on the screen, but I can do that also with just the normal text. So let's go ahead and put a counter. Now in JavaScript, I don't remember off the top of my head. Like, I know the set timeout, that's not the issue. It's the timer itself. So let's go ahead and make sure you're on top. Create timer. To count up in seconds. So we'll probably take that plain counter, and let's see what happens. Yeah, so I like that. So it'll keep ticking away, and this will be our main timer here. So we'll set that up as we'll do minutes. We'll do total seconds. So let's close out of that. Close out of you. Minimize you. Come over here. So what we'll do is we'll add our text over here. Total seconds. We'll mimic what they did already. We'll set it to 0. We will create our interval. So when the game starts, and we'll move this into it. So what we'll do is we'll create 2 functions down here. Pause game, which will we need to pause the interval, and to do that, we also need to create an interval up here at the top. So total seconds equals 0, and let's group some of this stuff together. Let counter interval, and we'll just let that be what it is. So then when they start the game, there's our setup, there's our preload, pause the interval function, start interval. We'll create two functions. We'll do a function to start interval and a function to stop interval. And the start interval will just completely stop it. So this is where, like, I think it comes up to the person. So it's the question, I think, for developers in terms of the use of AI, of do we want speed or do we want to really think through all the problems? And I think you run into kind of a mix of the two, where you want speed, but you also want to think through the problems. So in this particular instance, I'm interested in speed more so than I'm interested in trying to think through the problem in itself. So let's create a new ChatGPT-4. Yeah. So using JS, how can I create an interval that I can start? How can I create a timer that counts up in seconds and minutes, with a start button to start the timer and a pause button to pause the timer. So that's what we'll probably go with, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably lean heavily on the interval. But let's see what ChatGPT comes up with. Yeah, there's our timer, our start button, our pause button. Here we go. Second, we set our interval ID. We're not worried about the update. That's just going to update the... I guess we are. Let's do that. Function display timer. And we should probably call you start timer. And instead of stop, we do want to stop. And to stop the timer, we're going to say, and then function pause timer. And I think we said we'll create a timer function, or a timer variable. So, and this isn't going to be exact. So for us, in a similar vein, we have one already that displays the score. Yeah, here it is. So we're going to put U at the top. Display timer. Set size equal to 30. Let's make you a little bit bigger. Text. Just the custom score. And we're going to put you kind of in the center of the screen. So we'll call you canvas width divided by 2 and canvas height divided by 2. That'll put you in the center. Let's go ahead and take a look at this code. The remaining seconds, timer, string minutes. Well, that's kind of long. All right, so let's do this. There we go. Let minutes equal math.floor from, we called ours total seconds. Total seconds. So we'll need to find a way to reset that down the road. But for right now, we'll say this, and we will say const current time is this is going to be equal to string minutes, pad start. And yep, no, that's fine. So then we'll put you into here. We'll actually have you running all the time. So we'll come up and put you, or down and put you in our draw manage score. So we want to manage score and show the level, and we'll display the timer. All right, and so let's take a look what else we got. Let's scroll to the right. The start timer, there it is. Start timer, if I think we called you, what did we call you? Timer. So what? That was a mistake. We should probably call you something more specific, so like game timer. Let's do that. Let's come down here. And yeah, if no game timer dot set interval. We called you total seconds, and we don't need to update the display. It's going to do that for us automatically. And the pause timer is this. We called it game timer. That works. And that should be it. Stopping the timer is going to be the same thing. So we should probably just call you stop timer. And we'll do something called reset timer, where we stop the timer. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Stop timer, and total seconds is going to be reset to 0. So when the game starts, and we haven't implemented all of that logic yet, come down here to our setup, and we will start the timer here. And when they pause the game, we will pause stop timer. Yeah. So that should put the timer on the screen. That's one of the things. So that takes care of creating the timer on the screen. Now, what we want to do is also spawn more monsters. So we didn't spawn any last time. We kind of paused the import there. So, and I still haven't solved some of the problems. So there's our game over text. Level pop-up, which we don't. Show map, which I don't want to do just yet either. Pause game. Where's my monsters? There it is. Let's find all our references to monsters. There it is. So let's go and take a look at this new monster. And then when we generate the monsters, we need to look for the stock construction materials. Yeah, no, so that's fine. So even if it's undefined, it should be okay. Pauses the game, pauses everything else. We got our monsters. Let's change the monsters so they keep appearing. When we pause, we'll need to figure out a way. Yeah. When we pause, we need to, let's hold off on that. Because when we pause, and yeah, this is a pretty wide map. I need to look up how I can randomly generate a maze in this, but not just yet. So let's just start with the timer for starts. Let's do this. So nodemon server.js. Yeah, all right, let's go there. Let's go to localhost. Put you over here. Let's open things up. Put you here. Localhost. It's broken. Let's see why. Oh, it's because construction materials is not defined. Let's adjust you. So construction materials can be equal to null by default. Like, I didn't set it at all. So you're going to keep running. Display. I've left something out. I'm going too fast to see all the things. Level up is paused. Canvas height. There it is. Equals bricks. We don't have any bricks. Let's see if it's going to complain again. Okay. So we have that. We don't have any bricks. No, okay. Don't see anything. But I do know what the error is caused by. Hey, how's it going? So I see. All right. So the pause does work, but our timer does not. You guys seem fine. There are a couple things. So one, I will just change you to be null, and that's fine. Let's see if it's happier that way. Yep, cool. So that problem is solved, and so we have that part of it working. So we're back to that, but our timer isn't working. So let's take a look at how I implemented our timer. Wait, it should start on setup. So there's our start timer. And it takes our total seconds and adds it up. If there's no game timer, let's console.log our total seconds so we can see what's going on. And let's reload that. See if we can take a look at what's going on in the code. No, not localhost 3000. And it could be me. It could totally be me. It is. I don't have it displaying the timer, but I thought I did. Display timer. I do. I have you in the display timer. You're showing the level. You're showing that. You appear to be in the right spot. I mean, you're clearly not. So, show paused game. You're in the exact spot where you should be. Text 17 and 34. So that's right. Let's put you at the top, which is going to be 0. Actually, let's move you down a little bit. Let's move you down to 17. And all right. So here we go, 17. And you're running, I assume. Console.log current timer. Why aren't you running? That's really weird. Let's put something here. Let's break it. So you are starting. Ew. It's set to undefined, not null. Well, all right then. Let's see if that makes it happy. And then we're set to, because undefined is not null, and so therefore it's grumpy about it. And I don't think we need the console log u anymore. I don't think we need the console log u anymore. And refresh. There we go. So now we have our countdown appearing on the screen. It's in a terrible position, though. It's in a terrible position. You should be 17 is not where I wanted you. So you should be, let's do canvas width of 2. So you're right smack dab in the middle, but it's 17 down. So when the level starts, it starts to count down. You're still a little too high up. Let's move you down a little bit. Let's stay like 23. A little bit better. Let's move you down a little bit further. 27. All right. So there's the countdown. I feel like it's a little over to the right. Plus 15. And now this is, by the way, a terrible usage of magic numbers. I would strongly suggest, and I will go ahead going forward, probably switch these up. So 27 is still too high. 37, that's a bit better. Is it centered? All right. So that's better. So now we have our monsters spawning. We have our timer displaying. We need to add in the rest of the mechanics, but we're slowly adding in piece by piece. We probably want to have it so that it spawns, that the spawns don't spawn on top of the player, but to like the far right and left of the player. So let's go ahead and change our spawning points. And again, this isn't meant to be an exact copy. This is meant to be my own version of a reverse bullet hell. So what I had done before was allow it so that the monsters are generated. Here's all the code for that. That it generates the monster based upon the position on the board. But since, again, I don't know if I explained this. I explained it last time. So one of the things that I found out was that in a lot of reverse bullet hells, not all, but in like the older classic-y reverse bullet hells, what moves is not the player per se, but the background. So the background is moving even though it looks like the player is. And so now that that logic has changed, it now means that the spawning points for the monsters aren't quite the same. So we should actually spawn the monsters kind of on the far edge over here and have them move towards. So let's take a look at that. X or Y. So we'll continue having it do a random generation on either side. So that's fine. And so that's why we do this first random split. And where do we want to say? We probably want to get the player's location and say spawn monsters. And what we'll do is spawn monsters so many pixels to the right or to the left. So the player is always going to be potentially quote unquote center. So we want to spawn them, I don't know. So if we look at it, it's 1025 across by 768. Let's see. Yeah, so 1025 by 768. So if we pull that up on a calculator, we want to, one, compensate for the player. So we're going to take 1025 divided by 2. So that means that for our x, which is the left and right of the map, we want to look and say, subtract the player pixels. So we'll subtract like, oh, I don't know, -5, and always appear 507 pixels plus or minus 5 to that over to the left. So it should be times 800. So that's y. So if we do the first one, you're going to be between 0 to 800. So that means anywhere off screen 0 to 800. Do we want to do that? Yeah. So this one's for the y appearing off screen. So anywhere in the x, but outside of, so it's either at the top or at the very bottom. So it can still appear at this x, this y. So -1, but we want it to the player. So we want to get, when we generate the monster coordinates, So here's the problem. I had not really calculated the player as being a factor in my monster generation. So we start the whole monster generation kind of as its own independent thing using a start interval or a set interval. So we just start generating the monsters when the game starts. Right now my monsters look terrible, but we just start generating the monsters. So we start off with generate all monsters. We grab the list of monsters and we start generating them. Where is it? This dot generate all monsters. Yeah, so we just start generating them. We loop through and generate a monster group, and we just say go based upon that. We've never cared about where the player was. So this will be an interesting point. Because we generate our coordinates here, and again, it doesn't really care where the player is at. So I now need to compensate for that. That can be an issue. How do I want to do that? Well, so here's the thing that we could do. Instead of generating the monsters as a function of this, we don't start generating the monsters. Well, so the problem, there's a hurdle in there. So if you put it inside display, I'm going to have to think about this, because what I needed to do is I wanted to generate the monster based upon where the player is at the time. And I don't know if I always know where the player is at. Let's take a look and see if we can find out. So I do have that information here down in our draw function. It lets me know where the player is. And I do have it in the display. So it does check it. But when it does the interval, will it know where the player is? I don't think it will. This is going to be a tough one. I'm sure someone has figured it out, and I'm just not thinking it through. I guess we could change up the logic to be as follows. And this is just something that I hadn't planned for. So we've created the on-stream timer after a time, So let's think about this. So we have our monster generator. And so what we can say is we can do something called a check interval. So whenever we run our quote-unquote display, we can check if a monster interval is up, and then get the player position, get the monster coordinates based on the player, and then generate the monster. Or the alternative could be that what I do is create I create a series of listeners. So the alternative is, and this is one way, but this would have to be inside the display. But what if instead I created a listener that when monster interval is ticked, I tell the listener the type of monster and player position. Now this one's a little bit more complicated, but I think it'll be slightly smoother. So what I would do is I would create a listener, a default listener event that would be passed up to the parent, and then the parent would pass down and say monster.create, and it would pass in the current player position. But let's just test it out first. Let's change this around. Let's create so state dot set create monster false, and let's add a listener event. I'm not using new value here, so let's empty you out. Let's add a listener event into our setup where let's call it create monster. Did I call it create monster up here? I did. So create monster, and first let's see if we can get the current player. So console.log player object dot position.x and position.y. And now we have the game state. So we pass the game state into the display. And we should pass the game state. So to keep track of all of this in our monster.js, we should pass in the level and the game state in here. So let's go back to our game. Monster, current level. There's a bunch of stuff in here that I'm going to need to update. New monster setup. New monsters. We just called it state. So we have our new monster, we have our current game state, and we can pass it around. call you game state, and this dot game state is equal to game state. And then at the end of the set interval, stop all of that. Counter. We no longer generate a single monster. Monster count. We no longer generate a single monster. What we're going to do is this dot game state dot. Yeah. Yep. We'll do a game state dot set. And we called our game state for this what? Create monster. So we'll say create monster true. And is paused. Yeah. We'll do this weird little thing here. It's not that weird. It's just, create monster is equal to state dot. It's this dot game state dot get create monster, and then this dot game state dot set. It's going to be, it's just going to flip it back and forth. Dot create monster true false true false true false. And at that particular point, all we want to know is what the current player position is. So let's watch this inside of here. Let's do an inspect. Let's refresh. Console.log. Yep, so it does get the player's X and the player's Y. So now we know what's going on there. So what we want to pass back is not just the create monster, but we want to set it to that. And then we actually want to pass in the monster that we want to create. Create single monster, and we'll pass in the single monster group. And then this will create our single monster group. We will still do the monster plus plus. Yeah, it should still destroy the monster. But the generation should now be based upon the player. Single monster, oh yeah, we want the player. Single monster, and we'll pass in the player information here. So now, we come back to our game, and we look for listen to monsters dot generate single monster. We pass in the player object, player dot player object, and this is now going to be the monster to create. And that's, well, let's double check. Let's double check and make sure that we got it. That's correct. Okay. So let's open up our browser again. Keep closing it for some reason. Let's localhost this up. And then our interval. Retire the intervals. Yeah. So it does pass along that Cool. So we'll pass along the monster that we want to create, the player object. So down when we go here, we pass in this generate single monster coordinates, and it will be based upon the player. So we need to know what's the X position that we want to generate. So if it's 0 to 800, no. And that's the other problem. This is no longer accurate, for one. So if we're talking X, the Y is going to be a negative. So where do we want to do U? The Y is the vertical, so anywhere over to the left between times 10 minus 1. So negative 10, which would mean vertically, so that's up and down, so negative 10 minus 1 minus 10. I guess that's fine. So down there. And then 769, so that means you're between negative 10 or positive. But it should be not that. It should be 10 minus the player's position minus, so let's see, it's 768 divided by 2. So minus, let's do this, we'll call you const player X. Actually, there's no real need to. So let's do this. We'll put you down here. We'll say player dot position dot X, and it's their Y we actually care about. Y minus 384. So that's the down, so minus 384, and then I guess you're going to be plus the player position plus 384. So that should move them up and down, and then you will be the player position X. So you can appear anywhere, up or down. So that means the Y will always be, if it's negative, math.floor. Let's see what this generates. Let's go over and pull this up, and I keep killing this window. I keep killing it. Inspect. Console. Console.log. What? No, paste. Don't fight me on this one. What? Type. Man, that's so annoying. So where was he? Console.log. Player position X. So let's say the player's at position 5. 379. But what if the player's at position 100? 277. Okay. And if the player's at position 300, so let's see, that would be down more and only at 79. But when you're up higher, is that right? So when they're at 5, the number should be higher. So let's see. They're at 300. They're further down the screen. We want you to appear at a negative position. So that means further away. You're always going to be at the top. So you'd be at 79. Let's try it out. Let's try it out and see what we get first. Let's just do this and put you here and see where all the monsters occur at. Yeah, let's do that and see where all the monsters appear at. And then we can go from there. Localhost, spinner up. Okay. So that's fine. You're always appearing at the same. Oh, you're switching between top and bottom. What if we go further up? Oh, there's the level stuff. Okay. But you never generate anything bigger than that. You're always going for that same position down below. I mean, if we go way up here. No, that's not going to be right. So should you be plus 384 and you minus 384? Let's see about that. There we go. If we move down though, let's also generate more. Let's go back over here to our monster constants. Let's generate 50. Let's generate 75. Okay. So let's take a look at that. So you're coming up, you never generate down. And I think that's my fault. No, it's not. Well, yes, it is, but like, I mean, it's not quite what I had in mind. So again, I'm off here. So we take the math.random plus or minus 10. So that's going to be, I don't know. And then we take, where do we want to put it? The player's position Y minus 384. Yeah, no. So if the player's at 11, go down 384 and generate that. So let's take a look at this. X and Y. Because you should be generating coordinates consistently. So let's do an inspect here. Negative 774. Why aren't you generating the negative 1000s? So y starts at 0. That's wrong. That's also wrong. I'm gonna have to fix that. But you don't generate any of the ones if I go down below. There should be ones being generated down here. Just generating them up above. So that's means something wrong with my logic. The x can move back and forth between. We don't want to start at 0. Between. Let's see. And so I'm going to opt for speed here again. Let's see. Let's see. Create a JavaScript function that, given two chords, will return and will randomly. Let's take a look here. Will randomly generate an X and Y chord so that the X is either, what did I say? 384 is either 300. Let's do 390. So the X is either 390 so that the X is always 390 away, either positive or negative, and the Y is always, what is it? 24. So the Y, I'm sorry. So what's 1024? 1024. 1024. Oh, I'm sorry. So that the X is always, let's do 522, is always 522 away, either positive or negative, and X is always 300 and 94 away, either positive or negative. All right, let's see. Excuse me. I apologize for that. Okay. Yeah, I see this. Shrink you down. We want to change this function. Please change the function so that that if the X is, well, let's see what that gives us. So it could be positive, negative Y, plus or minus. So that should be fine. But if it's make sure the x and y generated are never closer, are always at least, what is it? 122 are always at least, are on, please make sure that the x and y generated match the following criteria. Criteria x should always be 522 away, and y should always be 394 away in either in any direction. So there we go. Let's give this a try. See what that gives us. Given player.position.x and player.position.y. And let's go to generate that. Yeah, that works. Let's see if that works and give us what we want. Let's go and find our window. Let's refresh. So you come from that direction or that direction or that direction, but if we move further down, why won't you generate beyond the platform? That one worked, but the bottom isn't. Oh, there it is. There we go. And now it keeps going. And the game end will not be based upon the player running out of things. So that takes care of our generation of the monsters. They should keep going. Let's clean this up. Okay, and so we no longer need to check for game end or check for level completion here. We're going to change levels in a different way. Let's do a check. Yep. Oh, there's another one. Don't need you. Okay. I think we're done with that. We don't check for level completion anymore. So we don't move to the next level just yet. We just keep generating monsters. How do I want to handle that? So we've created the monster generator. What we need to do is every so often, I guess after a period of time, we start a new one. So let's change this up. The monsters are fine. How do we want to switch these up? So if we follow similar reverse bullet hells, we just generate, there's no limit. So it just generates so long. We should probably change it so we have a series or a set of monsters per level. So let's change up how that works. Let's go to our monster constants and change it so that we have this list and we don't pass in a quantity. And they all generate at the same time. So we are going to create all of them. Yep. Let's come back over here to monster. We don't actually care about the quantity anymore. Yep. We've taken away our quantity, at least for this. We might care about it for the bosses. But what we will do is we will keep generating them. We will keep generating monsters. So this is more complicated than I suspected. But this is always the case, I think, as a developer. You just kind of get used to that. So we'll come back over here to our monster constants. These are the available monsters. So Siamese, Persian, all of them will be available. So yeah, we'll start off with all of these being available. The Scottish Fold and the Russian Blue and the Savannah. I think that's all of the cats that I generated. Russian Blue, and finally the Savannah. Is that all? Yeah, all 5. So that will start us off. And let's take away these other quantities because that's not a thing. I need to change you. There's no quantity. I know why I keep closing you, because I don't want you to just kind of sit here running, taking a memory. So there is no quantity anymore. We give all the list of things that are going to be available per level. And what we're going to do is change up how monster is generated. It says for the first X number of minutes, we keep generating monsters. And then we switch it out. And I wonder if we should do quantity based. No, let's create an interval where, so let's think about this monster logic. So every so often it creates a single monster in a group. It's going to loop through all of them, and we every so often we'll do a soft reset. This dot generate all monsters. We don't want to loop through all of them. What we want to do is we want to start with one. Generate all monsters. Let's do this. We'll get all the monsters in the list. Generate the first one and wait a random amount of time. When that happens, generate a set interval. We don't have a total monsters. if we were, how do we want to do this? So generate the first one and then wait. When we generate it, we'll create a new interval. And tie it. Oh, we could tie the monster to an ID. So that, and I'll probably try to think of a way of doing this. So what I want to do is kind of a stack. I want to create a queue, but a more complex queue where after a certain amount of time, so what I want is an interval queue. So a queue that, what do I want to stack? I don't want a linked list, but I want a queue where you add things onto the queue, first in, first out, and after a certain amount of time, it takes the first thing out of that queue. So let's see what we can come up with. There's a lot of code to write. I don't know if I can do it all. But let's see. Using JavaScript. Add a queue to an existing class. Add a queue to an existing class so that when the class is started, it takes the first item in a list as a key pair and adds it to the queue, and then adds the second item, and then adds the second item in a list in the list to the queue after 3 minutes, and finally removes items from the queue after 5, after 4 minutes, no, after 2 minutes, after 3 minutes, and adds the after 3 minutes. When the list gets to the last item, have the queue start again at the first item. It's a bit complex. Timing logic looping through the list. So there's our items. We have that. We have our queue. So it continues to generate monsters for the duration that it is in the list. Oof, oof. All right. So add item to queue. This.queue.shift. And when the item is in the queue, what we will do is we will start the interval for it. And when we remove wait, hold on a second. Start the add item to the queue. Yeah, when we remove the item from the queue, we'll also have it stop its interval. So let's go ahead and implement this. It's not, yeah. So let's come over here. I don't think I'll be able to completely implement it. So we have our level, we have our monsters, we have our intervals. Yeah. We have our list of key value pairs. Add to queue. Yeah. Const. This dot current index const current monster index is equal to 0. Const. Oops. We'll start it up here. Const. This dot monster queue is equal to an array. This dot current monster index is equal to that. And we'll do this dot add item interval. Yeah, this dot add monster interval and remove monster timeout. All right. This, when we start, which goes to generate all monsters, it's something to be something like this. So this dot add item to queue, set interval current index. Ours is not called that. Oh. This dot monsters to create. We're gonna have to play around with a bunch of this stuff. And this dot generate all monsters. Yeah, we're just gonna call it. We're gonna start monster generation. We get the monsters based upon the level that is passed in. So we now call you. Wait, where did it go? Generate all monsters. Yeah, there it is. There's no monster type. We just pass in this set interval, this dot wants to create that length, add item to queue, 2 minutes in. Add monster to queue equals this dot, what I think we called it, monster queue. Yeah. Dot push in single monster. add monster to the queue, which is going to generate this monster group. And this dot generate monster group, single monster. So that will start it looping through and generating the monsters. And when it generates the monsters, what I want it to save is the combination of the key and the monster. It's going to be equal to whatever that monster is. And when we generate this interval, we're going to return it. New UUID. So then when we go to kill it, yep, we have that new UUID. Const monster UUID is going to be equal to monster.uuid. We'll push that in and remove monster timeout. This dot q, this dot monster q dot shift. And when you do that, when we shift, I'm always looking at code all day. I look at code too much because I think shift. Yep, it takes it. So const q single monster info is going to be equal to this dot monster dot that, and what we would then do is this dot intervals dot clear single monster info dot key. This dot add item. Is that right? No, we called it add monster interval. I was like, wait, it should be used. And add monster to queue, add monster to queue. We unshift every so often. I'm doing the add monster to queue. When do we need to get this current queue? I don't think I ever do. But let's just say what happens when we end the level. Clears the intervals. Soft monster soft reset. This dot generate. Oh, this dot start monster generation. Yeah, this dot start monster generation. This dot monsters to create. Clear intervals. Move all monsters. Clear intervals. And stop monster queue. Yeah, this dot add monster interval, and this dot remove monster timeout, and this dot stop monster queue. Use it 3 times. So let me make sure I got this right. When we start our queue, set intervals not clear. We don't actually care about the monster count anymore. Just keep generating those all damn time. Generate the monster. Every 3 minutes we clear them out. So let's see if this works. I'm a little concerned. Yes, here's where an issue. This, I'm not using the current monster index. So this, I have a current index somewhere? I don't. I don't know where it's getting this from. I was about to say, this .current index doesn't exist. Not sure where you... Let me double check. No. No, restarting level. Da, 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 da. We gotta worry about restarting level at one point. We do? We do. Let's see. Let's refresh. I break stuff. Maybe I did. So after, I'm gonna have to up the interval, I think. I said after like 2 minutes. No, I said after 1 minute. So we're okay for now. Ooh, I took some damage there. So one of the things that I wanted to incorporate was the ability to so that instead of showing this, we showed the damage that was taken to the balls or to the enemy. So and I think I invented a bomb. I did. That you can't use all the time. Looks like my queue system isn't working. Did I not? I could have swore I told it after 1 minute. Or did I say 2? I don't remember. I think I should up the time. I think this is a little too slow. So we're about a minute in, 2 minutes in, soon to be. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to upgrade you so that after 30 seconds, I think this is gonna be a little bit slow. Whoa. I don't know what's happening here. Or do I? All right, let's take a look at something. So the first layer seemed to work. But I messed up. There we go. There's me being an idiot and not paying attention to all the things. So are those all the monsters I created? Yeah, all the way down to a savannah. So all right. And I think I did have you start generating around how many minutes in? The HP bar 3 minutes in, 2 minutes in. Yeah, start monster generation, and then so, and then let's take you down to 2 minutes. Yeah, every 2 minutes, um, we add another monster to the queue, and then we'll pop one off, and then lastly, um, yeah, let's get that thing working first before I get too kind of focused on one thing or the other. Wait, what? There's an error already. Oh, nope, we're okay. I think. I think we're okay. I think we're okay. So let's see what we can do. Bump, and I guess we could introduce knockback. Um, so in about a minute, that's not bad. I'm gonna probably lower the interim on. So it'll be about a minute. Um, I don't have an in-game just yet. So, and I need to introduce levels. So there's our new dots. And so we've introduced the new dots. Uh, and so we should, in the next minute or so, have another new dot appear on the screen. So and I think I'll worry about, yep, there's my other new dot. Okay. So I'll worry about the maze next, but we have our dots being created. Um, we got 3 different types of dots on the screen at this point. And so now we have another dot. And when the game reset, it did not reset the timer. So it did seem to reset all of the creatures, though. Nope, it did not. Oh, wow. So let's see if we can fix that real quick. Game, draw, display timer. How did it handle the player death? Death died. Yeah, player died. Kill player. Create the initial player. We restart the level. Is there a timer? Did I not create a reset timer? Start timer, stop timer. There it is. Reset timer, and then start timer again. Create initial player, kill player. Create initial player, kill player, reset timer, start timer, create initial player. When we restart the level, remove all the monsters. We remove them all. We should do a soft monster reset first. This dot clear intervals, clear interval, set timeout. We need to, when we start this, is our queue empty? And the current monster index should be reset to 0? Yeah, so when we do soft monster reset, stop monster queue, this dot monster queue equals this, da-da-da-da-da-da. Didn't we empty it out? I guess we didn't. Let's test that out again. Yeah, that's a lot of creatures on the screen. So here we are, 0. I think I'm gonna increase because 1 minute seems like a long time. So, and then I think the next thing I'm going to work on is how to build a maze dynamically. I don't know if that's going to be best, but let's see what it generates. But let me look around for it. Because then I think I'm going to have to figure out how I can tell when the player's at the beginning or at the end. So they'll hit the end of the maze and yeah, they'll hit the end of the maze and then we'll have to figure out how to do. But so far, this new queuing system works a bit better. I don't want to actually. You know what I'll do is I'll leave the hit point bars on. I'll probably shrink them down a little bit, and so that way, so they're not as big. Give everyone a slightly smaller hit point bar. But I want to keep them. I want to kind of create some distinctions between what I'm doing and what other people are doing in terms of like my aesthetics. Let's die real quick. Okay. It looks like it did not reset my queue the way I had hoped that it would. It did reset the timer, but it looks like it didn't reset the queue. Okay. Stop all monsters. That should be fine. Monster queue. Clear all intervals. Let's take a look at what's going on, because let's see, it should. This that level restarting. Remove all the monsters. Restart level. Okay. Remove all monsters. So we do that. Remove their hit points. Then we do a soft reset. So this dot clear intervals. Um, it was working before. I'm less concerned with that because I know that was working. What isn't working is, I think, this monster queue. This monster index. New map. Stop monster queue. Clear interval. This dot add monster interval. Okay. I wonder if there's a nice way to see all the monsters. This dot add monster queue. Let's see. This dot add monster interval. Clear interval. And let's do this instead. It's equal to null. Remove this dot clear timeout. Let's set u to null. And then equals null. Are you actually being hit? Set timeout. This dot intervals. Dot clear. Wait a second. Schedule removal after 3 minutes. Did I call you intervals? This dot no. We pop you off the queue. Wait a second. We pop you off. But this dot add queue. So when we add you to the queue, you set interval, and every so often, let me think this through. This add monster to the queue. When we do that, we push onto the queue the monster. We set the timeout, but we also start this monster group. This dot intervals dot clear monster info dot key. Let's make sure all of this works. Let's console.log single monster info. I want to see some things. And then we'll kind of stop soon after this because it's already. Let's come over here and let's speed up this whole process. 3 minutes. Let's do 30 seconds. And pop you off at 6. So let's restart over here. So after 30 seconds, we should get a new monster appearing on screen. Did I break it? I don't think I did. No, cool. So after 30 seconds, we'll get a new monster appearing on screen. And then we will check out how death works. Because it looks like the queue is not going away. Let's do this. Stop monster queue. Point here. Yep, there's a bunch of them coming. I gotta figure out what I want to do about that. There's no real way to stop. I found out you just have to kill the intervals and restart them again. So let's die here real quick. Oh, I see. Null is not a function. Oh, oh. So I left some extra single quotes in here. So that's gonna break. Null, null, null. There we are. So let's try that again. Clear intervals. Yeah, I have to figure out how I want to pause the monster generation. So right now I don't have a good idea. I would have to clear all the intervals for monsters and then have them start up again. Um, so all right. So we have another couple seconds before we generate one more monster. I should, for my testing purposes, try to find a way to test this in a faster manner because it's a real pain in the butt to wait for it to hit this level. Let's die here real quick and see what our debugger does. The monster queue, let's take a look, drag this over here. Our level is back to 1. The monster queue is back equal to 0. Let's kind of step through this. The monster index is back to 0. This dot level is that. Monsters to create is still the same. Remove monster timeout, restarting level is true. The game state, we have that. We have our data and our listeners. Nope. Everything seems to be correct. Let's play. Hold on a second now. How did we get here? How did we get here? Um, let's take a look at something. This is not right. Generate monster breakpoint here. So what is going on here? There's this. So the monster queue. Scroll down this. Intervals is a map. Add monster interval 45. Whoa, 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 whoa. This dot add monster intervals is a 5. Okay. Set interval. But we cleared you. Okay. Monster queue, 1 in it. Yeah, you only have 1. Monster queue. You only got 1. Map. Monsters to create. That's fine. Why? 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 Yeah, I'm not sure why. Um, Unless, hold on. This dot start monster generation. We add the monsters to the queue, but we empty those out. So when we add monsters to the queue, this dot monsters create equals this dot monsters index, which was fine. We should have taken that away. And I know your push is empty, so it should be fine. And we clear it after 2 minutes, or don't we? So this dot set. I'm really perplexed about this. Generate monster. So this part seems to work fine. It's this damn def. Hmm. So let's go and take a look at this. Why? I think I need to do a. Let's do this. Let's do this after this, just in case. So here we are, level 1. It's been a few minutes. Die. Nope. They're still generating them. What's going on with my intervals that what's going on with my intervals that you can't. Oh man, this is a pain in the butt. What's going on with my soft reset? Remove all monsters. Start monster generation. Let's put a breakpoint in here. Let's die real quick. So there's none. There's literally no monsters. The queue is empty. I wonder if our listener is still triggering. I wonder if our listener is still triggering. Let's see. Let's restart you just in case. We'll do couple more tests, and then we'll call it a day. I'm dropping my phone everywhere. All right. The pain points of making something. All right. So we have a few items. We should see the pink blobs next. And this whole time we should be seeing the generations here. So there's nothing. Well, let's die real quick. So we can have a few items that are being generated. How do we want to handle that? Because we've already sent them over. Uh, we've already sent them over. And I think the way that other games handle it is they just stop the game. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put that as a note. We'll tackle that next time. Is create 1 minute delay. Yeah, let's do a 15-second delay. 15-second delay between player death. And that way, what'll happen is that we will leave the player dead. Player died. We create initial player. We start timer. We kill player. We reset the timer. Clear monsters. And let's do this. Clear monsters. And this will be this that clear intervals, stop monster, monster queue. And we'll do all of this. And so when we do a soft monster reset, all we should need to do is this. This dot remove all monsters. Let's double check something because there's going to be a time period where we do monsters dot clear monsters, and then we'll do a set timeout. Yeah, we'll wait 5 seconds. Do here. We'll do console.log player died. So that should create that. Let's generate a few more mobs and then we'll go from there. All right, so we now should see our smaller pink dots. Let's die real quick. Let's reset our level. Player's dead. Oh, I see. The player died. You didn't clear the monsters, though. The monsters. And then when we say restart level, you should remove all the monsters. Reset the queue. Let's try that once more. see if maybe there's something going on with the code. Oi, 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 oi. Oi, 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 oi. All right, so we're up to 21 seconds. Another few more seconds before we get our additional monster on the screen. Then we'll double check our player death. So we have here our player. We have our pink dots, which move a little faster. Have a few more hit points. Let's go ahead and die real quick and double check our player death logic. So there's our debugger. Let's play. Oh yeah, I see the problem. So I have a listener event in here that, I have a listener event in here that's still going, and receiving listening events. It's not clearing out those listeners. So let's do a couple of things. So let's increase it. Instead of 5 seconds, let's do 10 seconds. Is that right? No. Yeah, there we go. This will set player death to true. Where are we setting player died? Yeah. So let's come back up here and let's try to create a variable here. We'll say player, nope, no we won't. No, we will come down here and do this. Let player is dead. Did we do dead is dead already? No, player died. Is dead equal to false. And while the player is dead, we need to change our event listener is what we need to do. So player died while the player is dead equals true. And then create initial player, it's false. Create monster. So if player is dead, return. Let's see if that fixes it. So that way any of the things that kind of triggered afterward, and again, that's really weird. This dot intervals dot set, we generate a new one. Let's see if this works. Let's reset. We'll try one more time, and then I might call it a day. Yeah. So here we have the random monster generation. It does appear to be generating the monsters like I want, so it's generating them just outside the purview of the player, which is what I wanted. So that part's going well. I need to generate some additional weapons for the characters, but not just yet. And there's our new monster, the pink dot. Oh, I messed up on the timers, you see. Let's die. We will hit play button in our debugger. And let's see, after so long, we've restarted. But it looks like we have hit a problem again. It's a little frustrating. Something is not going right in our monster creation. Let me review the code again. So we're going to start our monster generation. and we said this dot add monster interval equals set interval. And when we end it, we set it to null. This dot add monster, yep, we set it to null. Stop monster queue. This dot clear monsters. This dot stop monster queue, we set it to null. So we that has to, all right, so that's set to null. Once per minute, we kill it. Then when we add a monster to the queue, oh, I know what I could do. Let's nip that in the bud while we're here. We'll wait for it more. So, where was I? Monsters. So when we add monsters to the queue, the current monster index, but we set it back to 0, don't we? Current monster index is 0. When we clear monsters, it's set to 0. All right, let's do it the slow way. So what we'll do here is, right before the player dies, we'll go into our debugger and pause our code to see what's going on. So let's clear you out. We're going to start getting these other monsters. We're going to pause you for the time being and put in some breakpoints here in the code. Okay. All right. Now let's die real quick and let's see if we hit those breakpoints. We do. So let's bring this over onto the screen. Shrink you down a bit. So right off the bat, we have our game state. Look, our add monster interval is empty. Our monsters create, which is supposed to be 5, is fine. We have no monsters on the map. The level is set to 1. There's no intervals on either. It's 0. So let's see what happens when we play. We wait our 10 seconds. So here we are at this. We have 0 monsters in the queue. We only have 5 monsters that we're creating. Our monster index is 0. So let's see what's going on here. So if we hit play, you're all still perfectly and fine. And then const interval, step over, step over. This dot interval is 2000. Let's check our this again. Our this, 0 intervals, 0 monsters. I don't have any monsters on the map yet. What it looks like. Single monster info. Errored out. I want. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, there's something weird going on here. And I think it's, what should it be? What is it though? How can I Stop. Do I have a bunch of monsters on the map? No. Possible. How is this possible? This... Wait, why are we here again? How often are we starting monster generation? $40. 40, huh? Um, if player is dead, return. We stop console logging you. And I'm going to start the timer again. Reset the timer. Kill the player. Create initial player. Clear the monsters just in case. And let's see if this works. Let's take away our breakpoints. We'll try one more thing and then I'm going to call it a day because this is killing me slowly. Debugging sessions are always painful, I find, but necessary. Let's die. Let's refresh. Let's do one more. Okay, so this generation seems to be fine. We're generating all the things. All the things. Okay, so we're generating the monsters fine. It's a win. A win is a win. A win is a win, I'm telling you. So there is some progress to be made. We need to worry about map generation next. So we're on level 1. Let's die real quick. Death. Removed all the monsters. Play. Player died. Single monster is undefined. Ah, that's so frustrating. All right. I'm going to call it for right now. I'm hitting a brick wall. It should have cleared all the monsters on the map. I'm not sure why it's generating anymore. Because we've told it to clear the intervals. This dot intervals. We clear the intervals. So and I've checked, the intervals are empty. Is it not clearing them? Clear interval ID. Is it not clearing them? I wonder. Let's see. Actually, now I'm curious. In JS, way to see intervals. So there's a developer set interval sniffer. Set interval sniffer. There's a Chrome tool for it. Oh. Yeah. Was it supposed to add something? Yeah, let's go ahead and grab you. Or, let's see. Um, da, 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 da. Yeah, no, let's go ahead and grab that Chrome tool, because maybe that's what the problem is. Is that I have um, is that I have an interval that's not being cleared, and maybe that's what I'm running into. Switch you over to Chrome. Let's add it to Chrome. Add the extension. Go over to extensions. And drag you over to here. Let's see what we can find out. Okay. Let's go to localhost. Okay. Sites. Let's refresh. Where's my interval bits? Inspect. Lighthouse. Timers. Let's refresh. I am not seeing any of my timers. Let's refresh again. Start sniffing. Let's see. I'm not seeing any. But I know I have them. Let's go to our sources. Internal. Monster. Monsters. Display. What I want to see is when I clear all my monsters, restart level. Let's refresh you. Let's go back over here to our timers. I don't see tab ID. Level. Now death. Okay. Let's see what we have here. No periodic. I am not seeing the thing that I want. This .set game. This .set interval. This .game state .create monster. Is that what's breaking you? I think it is time frame, but I said it. Wait, hold on. Oh, so we do have it. Oh. So then when we go to this dot intervals, I think I'm doing my clear intervals wrong. I think I'm doing my clear intervals wrong. So that's why it's not emptying out. Dot set new ID. How can we loop through both? Oh, I think I know what's going on. Through map and get value. Yeah, da 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 da. Yeah, there it is. Key value of map.entries. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll do this, and I think this is what's causing the issue. For cheese when I'm just babbling over here. For this dot object entries, there has to be another way. If you want to take a more functional approach, no, but yes. Console.log that gets the keys, and get value. So yeah, I guess I could do it that way. Yeah, we could do a for of key and value. So for of this dot intervals dot entries and clear interval values. I think that's where I'm running into the problem. And so then when we come back over to here, because after 2 minutes some of them should stop spawning, I think I figured out where the problem is. I am being an idiot. So we get the monster ID, and this doesn't exist, this clear intervals dot key. Also, we're not clearing it. This dot intervals dot set. So to clear it, what we need to do is say that gets us the key. Use the key to get the ID. Const key value, monster key value, monster interval key value is going to be equal to this dot intervals dot get single monster info dot key. If no single monster info return, we get the key, and then single monster interval value, we need to clear the interval for this, and this dot intervals dot clear. What is this doing? This is a map. Let me say look. I think it's map dot clear. Is it map not clear? I keep tabbing between stuff and I'm not. Mm, there you are. Clear JS map clear. Wait a second. Why are we clearing out? Hold on. Wouldn't we just delete? Why? Why are we clearing you? This doesn't seem right. I've messed up on the code somehow. It's on me. This dot intervals dot me. Get it? Monster Q. Use the key to get the ID. We remove the oldest item. So now it's no longer. This dot add monster interval. We add monster to the queue. It goes through and we generate the monster. We push in the ID. I don't know why we're not just bringing the whole thing back. And return. We could return the whole thing. And that has an interval ID. I don't know why we're clearing. We clear the interval. And then why are we clearing out the monsters? We should be doing this dot delete the key. Let's put a debugger here. I want to know what's going on. And let's see if that works better. Let's take you away and go back over to here. Let's see, do we have any others running? No. Let's try this one more time. I think that might have been it. I think that I was doing some wrong clear interval stuff here. So we have our monsters being created. Let's open up our inspect tab. So they should disappear after a minute. So it should be 30 seconds and then they should go away, but they weren't. That means there's something wrong with my code. So after 30 seconds, the new item should appear. So you're correct. There we go. So that's one thing. So you guys give it another couple seconds. I should really lower this for testing. It's getting on my nerves. It just takes too long. But I mean, I guess it's kind of a good test to see what happens. So we have, now we put our debugger. So our interval size, let me bring this over here. This dot interval has one entry, number 38. Monster is the Siamese. The monster is the monster first one a Siamese? Let's take a look. Yeah, the first one is a Siamese. So we get the Siamese. Dot get this dot intervals now equals 38. We clear the interval for number 2. We delete that one, and if we come back over to the game, are we ready to delete again? Oh, that's right, I guess we are. Death. Death, 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 death. So that's working a lot better. There they are. I don't see the Scottish folds. There they are. And in another few minutes, we should start to see, in another minute or so, or I guess 30 seconds, we should start to see more of the blue ones again. Yep, pop that off. We wait. And then we level again. Yep, there we go. So there's the issue. Cool. All right. That was far more painful than it needed to be, and it was just me and being bad. So let's double check this again. Let's take you out. Let's take out our console logs. Let's clean up some of our code here because I put in a bunch of extra code. So we remove all monsters. And this is our monster queue. We're starting the level. We don't need to remove all monsters again. Do we clear monsters? Why don't we clear monsters then? And then do a soft monster reset. When is this used? Soft monster reset. This soft monster reset. Let's see. Clear monsters is the same thing. This dot clear monsters does the same thing. Stop soft monster reset. And the only difference is that we pass in. So let's change you up. This dot clear monsters. So we remove all monsters. If we're gonna do a soft monster reset anyway, we're gonna clear all the monsters and yeah, restart the level. Okay, cool. On the game side of things, we don't need to wait so long. We can wait like 3 seconds. We don't need to clear the monsters. We do want to say that the player is dead. We don't want to clear the players again. We want to reset the timer. We stop the timer. We reset the total seconds. That's fine. Let's go back over here to monsters. This .q. I think that it is slightly more efficient, though the map is very fast in terms of lookup, but we're doing 2 lookups here. So would we go to remove it? Why don't we? Because we're getting it and then we're clearing it. Why don't we? This dot monster dot set. So we keep an interval for that, but only one interval for this. I don't feel that strongly about it. Every 2 minutes. So you add a new monster to the queue every 30 seconds. And then once a minute you delete it. But I wanted to change it from this to, so that's a minute you remove everything, to 2 minutes. So it stays on the screen for longer. Take you up to 60. Yeah. Yeah, let's take you down. 30 seconds, and then every 2 minutes. Or 90. Every minute and a half, you add more monsters. And they keep generating. All right, let's do one more test of everything, and then we'll call it a day. Let's open you up and see. Okay, so we still have our timer. It's not bad. So, all right. We have our score. So then next we want to there's our creatures. We have new ones coming in. It's my fault though. Okay, so we have new ones coming in. That's what I want. In another second, we should get the next creature. And after 90 seconds, we should stop getting blue ones. So I think I only created 5. And so, yep, we've lost. There's no more blue ones being generated. But now we have the orange. And we should have one more cat or creature that should be being generated. There it is. And then we should go back to the blue after this. Let's make sure that happens. Yep, there's our blue again. And I died. Yep, and this restarts it, so there should be little blue ones. Cool. All right. Progress was made this evening. Let's double check something. In our game, when we reset the timer, when the player dies, we're not immediately taking things off the map. So we kill the player. We reset the timer. Player is dead. And let's take 2 seconds. Let's take it down to 2. Yeah. No, I think we're okay for here. So there we go. So we want more monsters per level. And we need to up the difficulty of the monster every so often. But we'll worry about that later. Let's spend next session on Wednesday creating maps. So I'll probably take a look at that and then come back. Anyway, thank you very much for your time. Thanks for hanging out and playing coding games with me. It is now 10:48 p.m. This is CptWoozle signing off for January 29th, 2024. Thank you very much. I hope everyone has a good day. Take care, and